Welcome to episode 254 of the official Gamestitch Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Walton. As always, I'm joined by the other host, Dan Reamer.
Happy 3 days after Thanksgiving, everybody.
3 days after. 2 days after Black Friday, the real holiday.
2 days after Black Friday, not the real holiday.
Tomorrow, Cyber Monday starts, which has turned into Cyber Week.
Yeah. Well, Black Friday turned into Black November, so.
Mm-hmm. I don't even know how I feel about Black Friday anymore.
Well, here's the thing: is it used to be when Black Friday was first a thing, there were some amazing deals that you ran into. What I was seeing is in a lot of the brick and mortar stores that I was going to is everything was like on sale for like a normal sale price. It didn't appear to be like a doorbuster to me. Some of the stuff maybe, like some video games and stuff like that. But most of the stuff was on sale for a price I've seen before.
Or, yeah, you know, like you said, there's a few doorbusters at each place. But even like Walmart, I think starting like midnight, the day of like turning into Thanksgiving, everything was available online.
Mm-hmm.
To avoid some of those mobs and crowds
right.
and people not getting what they wanted. And Target, the same way, like everything was available online.
Yep.
Like there was like a few in-store purchases only. But, you know, all the lead up was that, retailers are doing things to put people back in the stores and they have amazing deals in stores that they don't have online. I didn't really see that.
I didn't either. At all.
I want to cover a few things though. So
sure. Go for it.
What did you get for Black Friday video game wise?
What did I get for Black Friday video game wise? Actually, this was kind of more of the Christmas shopping expedition. So the only thing I got video game related was a controller for my PS4. I didn't get any games. I got some in my cart. But I haven't pulled the trigger on them yet because I know that Christmas shopping isn't done. I just bought floors. I got some other stuff that I got to do, and so I'm making smart decisions with the money instead of going out and blowing $100 on video games that I might play, might not.
And if someone buys you presents, it's a very insensitive time for you to buy yourself stuff.
Right.
But you know, there were some deals out there. I didn't see anything super amazing, but there were some deals. I used to always say I'm not going to go Black Friday shopping. I don't want to fight the crowds. I like to go, and I don't even care about getting the stuff. I like to see the people who will push someone else and shit their pants to save $20.
Well, what was nice is because there was no doorbusters, there was no like we've gone in the past. Let's see, I want to say 6 or 7 years ago. There was a computer that my wife wanted that was like $900 off. So we went doorbusters and all that. I think it was at Best Buy. There was really nothing like that this year. Nothing that was like, ooh, I have to have that for that price because it's amazing. So, you know, we got up at 8 o'clock in the morning and we went and got breakfast. And then we went Black Friday shopping. So we didn't really get into the doorbusters, the crowd, the mob, the masses.
Yeah,
we didn't really see any of that.
I actually went out Thursday night, everyone was pretty good.
Oh, you're a piece of shit, by the way.
They're open whether I go or not.
I don't care.
I went to Best Buy and I went to GameStop, and then Friday I went to Target. And I actually went to Five Below, which I don't know if you have those up there.
We don't.
It's like a dollar store, but it's a $5 store basically.
Mm-hmm.
They had Guitar Hero Live.
Yeah, we have Five Below. Yeah.
Okay, they had Guitar Hero Live for PS3, Xbox 360, and Wii U for $5.
So you picked that up, huh?
I didn't. Like real internal struggle with myself. Like I'm never going to play this on those systems, but damn, $5 for the guitar.
Right.
So I did some research. The guitar doesn't work. All the guitars are the same, but the dongles are exclusive per platform. It was going to cost me $15 to buy a dongle, and I'd still have to buy a game. And you could buy the whole PS4 bundle for $20.
Right.
So I just decided to hold off. I'll find it cheaper and I'll get it. I do want to have that. So, I'm going to start this by telling you I want to give a shout out to a GameStop employee when I get to that part of the story, which is odd for me. And I'm going to apologize to a stranger.
Okay.
That's a teaser for what's coming.
Teaser for what's coming up.
Okay, so I started the evening at Best Buy. I was there to pick up Hidden Agenda because they had all their PlayLink games for $15. And I really want to play Hidden Agenda. I think it'll be fun. I like Supermassive. I want to support them. So I picked that up for $15. Games, that's all I got from Best Buy.
Was just Hidden Agenda?
Just Hidden Agenda. And let me tell you, Best Buy was crazy. There was people everywhere.
Oh, I'm sure.
But they opened a line back in video games.
Mm-hmm.
They had like a little mobile register thing, which was neat because it allowed people to check out right there. And it also, everyone that was buying something back there, I think felt like they had to check out back there. Okay, yeah. So I walked to the main line and was probably out of the line in 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's nice.
So it really wasn't a bad purchase at all. So then I go to GameStop. GameStop they had opened I think at like 4 or 5, and I didn't get there till 7 maybe.
Yeah.
So when I got there was probably 10 people in the store. It wasn't bad at all. And I was there for Injustice 2, which I thought I might not get because it was $14.
Mm-hmm.
Hunting Simulator, which was $20, and I knew that I could show up anytime and get that.
Right.
And the Invisible Hours, which is for PSVR, which I thought I would probably get, but if someone was out there for VR, I might not get.
Okay.
So I walk in, and as soon as I walk in, the guy tries to give me an ad and wants to help me. And I said, I'm good. I know what I'm here for. And he totally backs off, which I appreciate. That was step number 1 for this guy. That was check number 1. So far, we're good. So I go over there. Injustice 2 is right there. I grab it. I find the Invisible Hours, no problem. Had a little trouble locating Hunting Simulator because it looks as if someone had picked it up and placed it wherever they wanted.
Gotcha. I know how that goes.
Not in the H's, right? But I found it too, so I was like, cool, this is everything I want from here. So I go, again, there's one person in front of me in line, and then I go over to check out with the same guy who tried to greet me and tried to give me the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I walk over, and he scans everything. And so I bought a lot of VR games.
Right.
Scans everything, and he goes, just want to let you know, the Invisible Hours is VR only, so you do have to have a headset to play it. I said, I'm good to go. So I appreciate that. It's check number 2.
Right.
Not everybody has VR, especially if you're like on a day like Black Friday.
And they're just, yep.
It's a good idea to remind people.
Yep. I agree with that.
So I appreciated that guy. Then this is where he really hits the home run. He goes over, he pulls my 3 games, he comes back. He says, so 2 of these are new, but they're the last ones. So it's Hunting Simulator and the Invisible Hours.
Mm-hmm.
He said, we're supposed to put the seal on them, but it does leave residue, so I'm not going to put that on. Just make sure if you return it at this store.
Nice.
So I'm like, this guy's a home run, which I always tell him not to put it on there when I see him anyways.
Right.
I'm like, this guy's a home run right now, even though he's betraying GameStop. But I'd call him consumer friendly. And then this is where he really makes up for it. At the very end, he goes, I see your card's expired. You have enough points to redeem it, but you're buying stuff constantly and not redeeming it. So I'm assuming you still don't want to do that today. And I said, that's correct.
Nice.
And he rang me up, and I paid, and I went out the door.
Nice.
In what might be the best experience I've ever had. Everything about it was so effortless.
That's good.
Like he was able to see, hey, this guy bought something last week and didn't renew it with his points he's had. Because we're GameStop, I know he was told about it. And he didn't feel like he needed to.
He didn't feel that.
The same thing again.
Didn't feel
right.
that was necessary. So
right. So I left there in a nice mood. Then so the only thing I had left on my list that I wanted was Resident Evil. Target had it for $15. I want to try it in VR.
Did you get it?
It's like 1:00 in the afternoon. I go over there on Friday.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm good. I'm good with what I got. I'm good with the 4 I got. If I don't get this, oh well. Go over there at 1:00. Target is a fucking madhouse, even at 1:00. There's something like 24,000 people in the store. So I go back to video games where 10,000 of those people are.
Right.
It looks like they were giving away games the night before. There's nothing. All the fucking pull-out plastic cases are all empty. Like, people were just buying stuff not even on sale.
Wow.
I was like, damn, this is There's no way I'm going to find Resident Evil. So I find the spot for it. Of course, it's empty, and I'm like, sometimes they set them up in other sections, so I kind of wandered around, couldn't find anything. As I'm giving up, I look up at the counter, and they have the stacks of games as if people have brought them up there but are still shopping because they make you buy video games in the back.
Right.
Normally they'll carry them up front, but because they have so much going on, they're making you check out back there.
Right, which is fair.
Yeah. So I look on the counter, and there's one copy of Resident Evil in line. There's 3 copies of this, a copy of this. Everything is, they look like people's purchases.
Mm-hmm.
So I walk up to the counter, and there's a guy who you can tell has probably been there like all night. He's stressed out. Somebody's trying to buy something, doesn't have the magnetic key, can't find the spider key or whatever. He's calling people, nobody's got it. He asked me, he said, how can I help you? And I said, I'm trying to pick up Resident Evil, but I don't see any over there. And then some lady, right when I say that, some lady walks up and she's like, hey, y'all got those free iPhone 8s? Just cuts me off, like I'm not even speaking. And he was like, excuse me? And she said, the iPhone 8s, then the ad that said they're free. And he was like, those are for the stores who have wireless. We only carry Straight Talk, so the iPhone 6 is the only thing we have.
Right.
If you look at the ad, it does say that select locations only. But I apologize, we don't have them. She's like, so I waited in line for nothing. I don't know what that comment means. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Whatever line you found yourself in at 1 in the afternoon before you came back here to be rude didn't keep you from getting this phone that they didn't
You
have.
obviously weren't in line because you just jumped ahead and asked the fucking question, bitch.
Right. Plus, you'd have known it when they opened last night that they didn't have them.
Right.
So then after that, she walks off, her and her friend walk off irritated. And then he turns and looks at me and he's like, you're just here to pick up your copy of Resident Evil. To which I responded, yeah. Because that is what I was there to do. Was to pick up my copy of Resident Evil. And he grabs the one that was in line off there and I paid for it $15 right there and walked right out. I was out of the store in like 5 minutes.
What a shitbag you are. God.
So, I don't know if I bought someone's copy who was in the store, someone who called ahead and said, can you pull one for me? But I do think that I bought someone's copy of Resident Evil.
It sounds that way.
And to that stranger, I would like to say I'm sorry. But I would do it again.
That was your apology that you felt was necessary?
Yeah, I would do it again, though.
You're a piece of shit person.
That is what I was there for.
You're a shitty human being.
That's what look, if you want it so bad, you put the money in the registry.
Your moral compass is fucked.
No, I saw an opportunity and I seized it.
No, that's not how that works.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Nothing about what he said was correct. I was there for that reason.
You justify it however you need to.
I'm fine with it. I slept like a baby, knowing I got all 5 games. So I picked up 5 games. I spent like $80-something, like $83 to $84. So it's like, I don't know, $17 or something per game. It's not a bad deal. And I got a lot to play.
See, my problem is the reason I haven't picked up any games is because a lot of the single player stuff that I'm seeing isn't priced low enough for the experience I think I'll have. But the stuff that I would play with you guys normally either isn't cheap enough for me to warrant buying it just to play with you guys every now and then. So it's kind of a catch-22.
I get that.
And then there's games I do want that no one else is going to have, so there's no point in me getting it. Like Steep. I really want Steep. Steep's $15. I don't know that Steep's going to be any fun if I'm not playing with other people.
I want to play Steep, but because of the reviews that I read, I got to be in Steep for like $10. And by the time it gets that cheap, they're going to be like shutting the servers down.
Right.
So I may never get to play Steep.
Yeah, so I'm kind of so that was my catch. So I just didn't buy any games. I am still considering Wolfenstein and the Old Blood for $15. I'm still considering that, but that's really the only thing I've even thought about that seemed like a good deal.
It'll be interesting to see what pops up Monday.
Mm-hmm.
There may be some more deals. I think I'm pretty good on what I've already got. I don't think anything else is out there that I need or want, but who knows what'll pop up.
Well, that's another thing that's fucked up. Is so, what if there's a better deal on Monday?
Mm-hmm.
If there's not, I'm going to be pissed. If there is, I'm going to be pissed. So,
it's a lose-lose.
Yeah.
Especially as like the retailer, what are they supposed to do? You got to save some for Monday.
There's no way to win on that. So,
Also went to, this is not a Black Friday story. I went to Toys R Us last week before Black Friday on like Tuesday. Mm-hmm. They had Skylanders, basically everything that's not the last Skylanders, the Imaginators or whatever, was, listen to this, they were $2.99 each. Buy one, get 4 free.
Holy shit. So you got 5 for $2.99, right?
For $2.99. Buy one, get 4 free. When the most bizarre sale I've ever seen.
Holy fuck. How many did you get?
Like that's that's the problem. They only had enough to get 5 basically.
Oh.
But I did get some superchargers, which I don't even have that game. So I got 2 sets of 5. Then they had the expansion pack for Trap Team. Mm-hmm. Normally $35 for $2.50.
Holy shit.
So I picked that up too.
Because why not?
Because, yeah, it would be fiscally irresponsible for you not to buy those things. So I scooped those up. So I've had a deal of weeks, I feel like.
See that.
If this is your first time joining us, this is the official Gamestitch Podcast. Each week we get together. We don't normally tell Black Friday stories because it's not normally Black Friday.
That's true. Completely.
But we always talk about video games. If you love the podcast, be sure to rate us on iTunes. 5 stars would be great. If not, that's cool too. And if you really want to support us, you can head over to patreon.com/Gamestitch and toss us a couple bones on there and earn some cool rewards like shout-outs and newsletters and whatnot. If not, this podcast will always be free, so don't worry about that. And then you can always tell people about us. You know, strangers. I love to tell strangers about the podcast. Just like that girl asked about the phone. That's how I like to start conversations about this podcast.
Hey, y'all hear about that Gamestitch?
Yeah, right in the middle of someone's conversation. Y'all listen to this podcast? So, if interrupt someone you don't know to tell them about this podcast ASAP.
Go.
And they'll appreciate it.
Go do it now.
Yeah, pause the podcast, interrupt someone, be rude, let them know, and send some people over here. Yeah, thanks for listening. Now we're going to get into the actual podcast part of this.
Like the meat and the potatoes.
Yeah, the meat and the potatoes.
The meat and the potatoes of it. All right, actually, it's going to be a pretty deep week this past week. Here's net neutrality. I'm sure you've all heard about it. I'm sure you've all been reading about it. We're going to cover it for you. First of all, net neutrality. Net neutrality is the principle that internet service providers must treat all data on the internet the same and not discriminate or charge different by user, content, website, platform, application, type of attached equipment, or method of communication. For an example, under these principles, ISPs are unable to intentionally block, slow down, or charge money for specific websites and online content. So essentially what that means, this was passed in 2015 by the Obama administration. Essentially what this means is you pay one price, you get access to the internet. They cannot charge a different price for different parts of the internet or depending on what you're doing with that internet service. You pay this price, you get access to the internet. Well, what's happened this week is the FCC has decided that this is not the way to do things anymore. The current administration now wants to make all of that okay. Ajit Pai, chairman of the FCC, and it's important to note, a former lawyer at Verizon, unveiled this week a plan to repeal net neutrality rules. Here's his statement. For almost 20 years, the internet thrived under the light touch regulatory approach established by President Clinton and a Republican Congress. This bipartisan framework led the private sector to invest $1.5 trillion building communication networks throughout the United States, and it gave us an internet economy that became the envy of the world. But in 2015, the prior FCC bowed to pressure from President Obama. On a party-line vote, it imposed heavy-handed, utility-style regulations upon the internet. That decision was a mistake. It's depressed investment in building and expanding broad networks and deterred innovation. Today, I have shared with my colleagues a draft order that would abandon this failed approach and return to the long-standing consensus that served consumers well for decades. Under my proposal, the federal government will stop micromanaging the internet. Instead, the FCC would simply require internet service providers to be transparent about their practices so that consumers can buy the service plan that's best for them, and entrepreneurs and other small businesses can have the technical information they need to innovate. Additionally, as a result of my proposal, the FTC will once again be able to police ISPs, protect consumers, and promote competition, just as it did before 2015. Notably, my proposal will put the federal government's most experienced privacy cop, the Federal Trade Commission, back on the beat to protect consumers' online privacy. And speaking of transparency, when the prior FCC adopted President Obama's heavy-handed internet regulations, it refused to let the American people see that plan until weeks after the FCC's vote. This time it'll be different. Specifically, I will publicly release my proposal to restore internet freedom tomorrow, more than 3 weeks before the Commission's December 14th vote. Working with my colleagues, I look forward to returning to the light touch, market-based framework that unleashed the digital revolution and benefited consumers here and around the world. So, this plan is going to be voted on December 14th, and it is expected to pass. From there, it's possible there's probably going to be months and months of court battles about what happens. Essentially, not only break this down for you, essentially what happened is, for a long time, nobody messed with the internet. The internet charged a price and you got access to it. In 2015, well, actually, it started being investigated in about 2012. The Obama administration, in what I consider pretty good foresight, said, hey, we have to make this like a public utility. You get one product for one price. So many people use the internet. It's so important to everything we do in everyday life, pretty much like the TV channels used to be, the radio used to be. That we need to put something forward to make sure that this stays neutral for people to use, that they have access to what they want for that price. So they passed that law, and now they're going to repeal that law. Essentially what that means is, if you're familiar with how cable companies work at all, you know that there's tiers. You know, for $20 you get the basic plan. For $40 you get, you can add on HBO and Showtime. For another $20 you can add on Stars. For another $20 you can add on the extended base program, which now gives you CMT and TBS and TNT, or however it works. I don't know. Essentially now what this is going to do is allow these companies that offer internet, these internet service providers, to basically charge internet in the same way. Now, how does that affect you? I'm sure you're wondering. Okay, there's probably going to be, this is total speculation here on my part. Total speculation. But, okay, $20 is going to get you access to the internet and email. So that's great. So what do? You decide, I want to watch Netflix. You go to Netflix, well, you can't get on it because for another $20, you can have access to Netflix, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, any number of channels. And now you want to stream those. Well, in order to stream, that's going to be another $10 as well. And now you want a video game. Well, now in order to stream that much bandwidth, we have to charge you an extra $20. So essentially, it can break down like your cable does now, is essentially what this could do. A lot of people say, oh, this is worst case scenario. That's great, but being worst case doesn't make it not a scenario, not something that could happen. So this is what has everybody up in arms. It's a very not very consumer friendly. It is very much pro-business. It is about the business making money off the consumer. I understand companies wanting to make money. I get that. What I don't like is when it fucks over the consumer. What I especially don't like is it's going to be here. Not only do they fuck you over, what did he say? I will publicly release my proposal to restore internet freedom. Let's see. And what else did the chairman of the FCC said? He said that, okay. Basically what he said is that it has to be total transparency, and they're going to have to show you, the consumer, what what each tier is. So not only are you going to get fucked over, but you're going to have a very clear direction on how you're getting fucked over. So that always works out well for the consumer. This is crap. This is really going to suck. I think this is all my opinion now, but you cannot tell me. I've been in this world too long. Maybe I'm cynical. Maybe I understand how the world works. You cannot tell me that businesses are going to be charitable and nice and just say, you know what? I know that we can do that, but we're not going to do that. I know that we can charge tiers. I know that we can charge more so that they can throttle up their internet, but these are our consumers, and I don't want to do that. I call bullshit and shenanigans on that because I've seen how businesses work, and if they didn't want to use it, there wouldn't be a reason to pass this, to make this change. So this is something that a number of companies over time have been lobbying for. They don't like the net neutrality regulation. They want to deregulate it so they can do whatever they want to. And then they want to tell you not to worry because they're not going to do anything. If you believe that, that's awesome. I got some land I can sell you. Waterfront, Arizona. It's beautiful. It's got palm trees. So yeah, this is going to affect all of us. This is going to affect everybody. It's if you use the internet like I do, it's going to hurt. I mean, it could be something as simple as they could go a la carte. It's going to be $5 to use Facebook. It's going to be an extra $5 to use Netflix, plus another $10 to stream this much bandwidth. Now you want to stream games? Okay, well now it's going to be another $10 for more bandwidth to use for streaming. They can charge by website. They can charge by bandwidth. They can charge by equipment.
They could charge you more because you live in New York.
Yeah, they can charge me more because I live in New York, and exactly, it's a great way to fuck over the consumer and try to act like you're helping them. Okay, personally, I say vote no. But if you're interested, there is a website you can go to. It's called SaveTheInternet.com. It's essentially a petition to stop this attack on, or what they refer to as this attack on net neutrality. You can go there, sign up, sign the petition, see what happens. Shut up, cat.
Your cat's in for sure.
Yeah, a cat's in. Give me a second.
So, are you pretty well covered? Everything you're covered?
Yeah, I've pretty much covered. The one thing I do want to say is don't be fooled by that statement, because he talks about for decades it wasn't touched. Okay, well, the internet didn't become a thing until 1993, and it didn't become available to households until Netscape released in February of 1995. So when he's talking decades, he's literally talking from the beginning of the infrastructure to it being built. That is what your money was paying for. Now that that's in place, that you don't have to spend that money anymore. Now they need to find a new way to spend money. So don't be fooled by that statement. All this infrastructure is already in place. There is still innovation going on, but there's no reason these companies that profit the way they do and pay CEOs millions of dollars in bonuses can't scale some of that back and use that for their own forward innovation. So just be very, very careful about your reading and kind of put it in perspective and try to understand it, how it's going to affect you. This is a serious thing. This is one of the biggest things that has probably affected us as the gaming industry in a while, in a very long while. So that's my 2 cents. Do with it what you will.
So if you've been around this podcast for any amount of time, you probably wonder why I've been so quiet. So I'm going to do something I typically don't do, especially on here, and not give too much of my opinion. There's a couple of reasons. So just for total transparency, and I think I've talked about this before, I do work for an internet service provider. And obviously any opinions I have are mine and not the company's, but what I'll tell you on this subject and on net neutrality is to be informed. And right now there are tons and tons and tons of places where you can find tons and tons of articles and op-eds, and you can get opinion after opinion. So what I say that you should do, and you know, you're grown, you do whatever you want, but what I think is the smart thing to do is to be informed and go to places you enjoy on the internet. So go to, you know, if you read GameSpot or IGN or Polygon or Waypoint or wherever you like to get your news, Giant Bomb, go there, see what they have to say about it, and then go to places that would benefit from this and read what they have to say about it, and make an informed decision either way. But really look at the facts of what net neutrality is and what it would mean for you, because that's the only thing you need to worry about is what it would mean for you. So that's where I'm at on it, and that, you know, I'm going to just not give too much of an opinion because of that, and be informed, be a smart consumer.
Do the smart thing. Make smart decisions. Do your research.
There is so much information on net neutrality. You're not going to have any problem finding that.
No. Not at all.
All right. And let us know. I'm interested to see. Let us know. Podcast@Gamestitch.com for something like this, or you can tweet us if you think you can fit it in 140 characters.
Actually, isn't it 240 now?
I think for some people, I don't know if it is for everybody. I don't know. I've seen people summing it up with 7 letters, so you know, maybe you can do that. If you can, then, you know, let us know what you think. If not, podcast@Gamestitch.com. You can go long form.
I've seen it in 7 letters too.
So, you know, ears to the ground. Remember, December 14th is when this will go to vote, and be informed. Read about this. It is a very big deal.
I would also say be prepared, because this is probably going to hurt.
Tell you something that doesn't hurt. Loot boxes.
Well, I guess that probably depends on who you ask.
I will give an opinion on this. We're going to once again talk about loot boxes. I know, we haven't done that enough. But it won't go away from the fucking news.
No, it won't. It's
every time I think the story is done, it's back. And there was a point this week where I started to think, like, are we why people keep talking about loot boxes? The media,
is it us?
Influencers, the water cooler talk, the friends on Xbox Live or PSN. Is that the reason people are still, like, this won't go away? Because people won't stop talking about it. So I did a lot of reading, did a lot of research, talked to people I know, and I don't think that is the reason. I think the reason is that, so at the center, at the heart of this loot box chatter is Star Wars Battlefront II.
Yeah, it's kind of the tipping point, I guess you would say, the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, I want to be totally clear on that. So when I'm talking about loot box controversy, it is Battlefront at the center. That's where all this started. That's where it keeps spiraling. I don't even want to say out of control, because I don't know what the proper amount of outlash is for this. And so I wanted to, people that aren't familiar with this, I kind of wanted to just really quickly walk you through what it is that has happened and why people are upset. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go really quickly here. If you want more, reach out to us or go read on the interwebs. It's not hard to find. It's about like trying to find net neutrality. You won't have a problem. So when Battlefront 2 was coming out, in October they did a beta. When the beta launched, people got a chance to play it early. So if you played the first one, or if you've done any reading, you know that Battlefront has what's called star cards. Those are earned through playing the game, natural progression, in-game currency, or through buying currency, the crystals. They had an epic level star card, which was game changing. Mm-hmm. In the beta, people became very upset with the idea that you could buy those game changing weapons and heroes and things like that. And
it's important to note, if I remember right, and correct me if I'm wrong, though, what you were paying for was the chance to win that. You were getting something, but that was one of the things you would win. Is that correct?
Right.
You didn't buy that specifically.
Right. You're always buying loot boxes.
Right.
Which are blind.
Okay.
Blind grabs, I should say. But, if you're getting something that would... These highest level, these epic level, could be weapons or something like that could actually change your experience in the game. Not just cosmetics. I want to be clear on that. Lots of games do cosmetics. We're talking actual difference in gameplay here. And a big, big difference when you were talking the epic level, which would had a very low rate of happening, but it was happening. So after that public outcry, people labeled it as pay to win. That's where this started. Mm-hmm. Very quickly, EA published a blog post and said, hey, obviously you guys aren't feeling this. We're going to change some things about it before it launches. So when it came out in early access, the EA access that they do, they had made some changes to it. They had removed the epic level star cards. So however you want to label it, they listened or they heard the outcry. They took them away. From there, people still weren't happy. They still felt like there was a pay-to-win aspect because you were receiving things that weren't just cosmetic out of these boxes. And it felt, in their opinion, set up to make you want to purchase for the chance to get those things to make you better. So the game comes out. It gets sort of beat up from a lot of the bigger outlets. And a lot of the criticism, not all of it, seems to be tied to the multiplayer progression. This is not a shock. People didn't like it. People writing these stories are just people who play games.
Right.
Newsflash for you. The people who write reviews are people who play games.
Yep. Who knew that?
So if you don't like something, right, they probably also don't like something. Because they're just consumers. Then all the accusations started piling up of this is gambling, this isn't gambling, this is taking advantage of children, blah, blah, blah. That's where it started to pick up mainstream media.
Yeah.
That's where I'll tell you that this started to really, really, in my opinion, get out of control.
And it really started to step to the forefront and become something bigger than just pay to win.
Right. When HuffPost and CNN are talking about Battlefront II, this is out of control now. Because they aren't people who play video games for the most part.
Right.
So then it gets there. They're doing a... let me get the names of the people. I want to be...
Chris Lee?
No. We're not there yet.
Oh, okay.
So they did an AMA. 2 developers from DICE. I really wanted to find their names. I don't see it here. Anyways, they did it. Obviously, people were blowing up about it. And they said, look, I'm paraphrasing here because I can't find wherever I put this. Anyways, they said, look, we know it's not perfect. There it is. Dennis Bronoval and Paul Kesslin. They spoke about the backlash in the game and expressed they were incredibly saddened by the overall response. We've made a really cool, fun, and beautiful game that was overshadowed by issues in the progression system. We will fix this.
It's important to note that they've been consistently working on these since the very first complaints came out, like that beta, the 10-hour trial, the release of the game, and to the point now where we talked about how they pulled those microtransaction loot boxes. But DICE has been constantly working on that system to they know it's not right. They've been very open and transparent about it not being right and them working on it and trying to get it fixed. It appears that this has done nothing to temper to temper the outrage over them.
And even EA's CFO Blake Jorgensen got out there and made comments.
Yeah.
where he says that running a live service is all about constantly watching and listening and reacting to the community to try to develop great gameplay. But also really understand that we listen to the community very closely, and we will always be changing games to make those games better and make the community more excited about playing those games. Like, they know that there's an issue here.
They've known
now,
that there's an issue.
Do they know that because it's everywhere? Because you can't go on the internet without hearing it? Or do they know that because they do listen to the actual people who play? I don't know. But they know. Okay, EA's not confused about the fact that people are upset about
that. Yeah, they're not like, what are these people talking about?
Right.
They understand.
Really? They're not happy? Right.
They understand. They get it.
So again, they did another hours after the Reddit AMA with the two DICE developers. They removed the microtransactions.
Took them
now
out.
Again, this is temporarily.
They will be back.
They took them out to rebuild it. If you go to the page where you can normally buy the 4 tiers of crystals, there's nothing there. It's not gone. They're retooling them to make sense. So right now, the only way to progress is to actually grind it out.
Right.
So that's not a problem. The problem people had is they felt like the grind was too hard.
Versus just buying them.
The grind for the chance to get something took too long versus the chance to buy something. We have spoke at length in the past about loot boxes are fine as long as they're cosmetic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we need to go into that again.
No.
That at the core is what is wrong with this for me. CSGO has been doing skins forever. Dota, skins forever. League, even down to Rocket League. They don't matter. They don't in any way change gameplay. They don't change your experience. They don't change my experience.
Right.
They don't change the person who has never spent a dime on the game that's going to play against us. It doesn't change their experience.
Right.
They're just cosmetic.
And I agree with that. On the flip side of that, I understand it's not very consumer friendly. I also understand a business trying to make money. And sometimes being consumer friendly and trying to make money, not sometimes, all the time, those are usually two opposing forces.
Right.
I mean, so, did EA get it right? No. They know they didn't get it right. They've been very invisible about the fact that they didn't get it right. But I honestly don't believe that because of this you're going to see loot boxes, just go away because this caused a problem. No. These are an opportunity for companies, developers, publishers to make money. That is what they are going to try to do. They are going to... I don't believe that they ever purposely want to just piss the consumer off. Just be like, oh yeah, fuck them. I don't think that's the attitude. I do think they are trying to come up with ways to take money from you in a way that you are okay with giving it to them. So maybe something to keep in mind when you're doing all this research and purchasing games and things like that. They're gonna try to make money. That's what their job is, essentially. And without that, they don't make new things. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. But I'll be the first to admit that I don't feel loot boxes are incredibly consumer friendly. They do need to be retooled, which they are working on.
So I gave you that super long overview so that we could talk about the two stories that have really
popped up this week.
The only thing that's out there minus Black Friday sales. That's all that's out there. It's Black Friday sales and EA drama. So Hawaii Representative Chris Lee. And also, I want to be clear, even on the last story when we were talking about net neutrality, we're trying to keep politics out of it.
We are.
So if your argument is for one side or the other, that doesn't have a place with us. So we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
So when you send in your emails or your tweets, talk about it from a consumer point of view, not from a political point of view.
Yeah, because we have our own. Well, I'm not going to speak for Ryan, but I got my own sense of right or wrong, and that's what I follow. My own moral compass. I don't care about anybody else's, except for Ryan's because he's a piece of shit.
Right, it's true. That checks out. Representative Chris Lee from Hawaii. Fast forward, he's standing in front of a podium, and he's talking about what predatory behavior because of loot boxes.
Mm-hmm.
EA is targeting your children just like Joe Camel did back in the day for cigarettes, because they've wrapped it up in a nice, neat little Star Wars package, the most recognized IP in all of the world. This is probably the extreme.
Remember earlier when I talked about worst case scenario?
Right.
Yeah.
Or when I talked about things
I also said,
spiraling.
Look, it's really it might be the worst case scenario. It's still a scenario. This is a perfect example of that.
So I want to say a couple things about Mr. Lee, Representative Lee, based off of this YouTube video of his statement. The guy's never fucking touched a video game.
No, not at all.
The person he calls up to speak has never fucking touched a video game.
It's true.
That aside, what he's proposing is legislation for Hawaii that would restrict the sale of loot boxes to minors.
No, to non-minors. Yes.
To minors, yes. You would have to be of age to purchase a loot box. And he also wants regulations for loot boxes even when sold to adults.
Because he wants them basically to be attributed to gambling.
Yeah, this was a generic-ass statement that didn't have an actual plan in it.
Right.
And I think... I don't necessarily dislike that this was brought up or that this conversation is happening. I dislike it that this guy brought it up. And it's nothing against him. He's probably a fine politician. I don't know a damn thing about him. Other than this guy, based off the way he speaks, has never touched a video game.
Right.
He calls Battlefront a Star Wars-themed online casino.
Yes.
Okay, that's... Okay, we've definitely... Now we're out of control. We were spiraling, good or bad. Now we're out of control if it's an online casino.
That's what that's what some of these people are attributing that as, with the amount of star cards, loot boxes, money that can be spent for this, that, the other
it's
thing.
Not an online... Even though you can buy them, it's not an online casino. We've lost our mind.
I understand that.
It is a game with microtransactions.
It is, yes. But Belgium did the same thing. Belgium also, as a country, wants to introduce legislation to make loot boxes and microtransactions a form of gambling.
The two games they cited were Battlefront 2 and Overwatch.
Yep. They want them to be regulated as gambling.
Mm. And I really think it's not fair to Overwatch to be lumped in here because, again, Overwatch is cosmetic. But, you know.
I'm curious what your take is on the gambling issue.
So, that's where it gets a little
dicey.
And we'll roll this all together. So, on top of Belgium, on top of Hawaii and Chris Lee, outcry in the UK was for them to again look at it. So, the UK Gambling Commission weighed in on it and what they think it is. Tim Miller, who is the executive director at the commission, says a key factor for detecting. We're talking about the actual stipulations of gambling. The key factor detecting if the line has been crossed and whether in-game items acquired via a game of chance can be considered money or monetary worth. In practical terms, this means that where in-game items are obtained via loot boxes are confined for use within the game and cannot be cashed out, it's unlikely to be called as a licensable gambling activity. In those cases, our legal powers would not allow us to step in. So what they're saying there is, even though you're paying for a game of chance, there is no monetary value to those.
To what you win.
Meaning that Rocket League doesn't allow you to then sell. CSGO doesn't allow you to then sell. They've banned some of their biggest YouTubers, some of their biggest influencers over using those sites that allow you to, those third-party sites.
Yep.
So those third-party sites are what everyone is screaming for the gambling commissions to go after, saying that they do have the ability to step in there because people are exchanging those for money.
Mm-hmm.
So that is, even though, every article is what it is, it's written by the person who has an opinion.
Right.
I tend to align myself with this. This is from Eurogamer. I tend to align myself with this in that the sites that allow you to exchange things that you have purchased from loot boxes for real money, for actual like PayPal transactions, I would say that is gambling at that point. Those sites should be shut down. Do I think normal loot boxes are gambling? I do not.
Okay.
Now, the one thing I do think that should have to be published for every game that contains loot boxes are odds. They can put them on their website wherever they feel like they need to. I think in-game would be the most transparent way to do it. I should be able to see odds for getting legendary, for getting this, for getting that, and they should adhere to those odds and be able to produce that. So if it's 1 in 400,000, that's fine. I should be able to see that. And then what we talked about in the past, you should be able to see how much money you've spent year to date, month to date, and life of game in real time.
See, I disagree with you a little bit on that. On a lot of what you said, actually. I have said before that I don't think loot boxes are incredibly consumer friendly. I don't think they are gambling in any way, shape, or form. I understand there's a lot of emotion in a lot of this. There's a lot of people that are invested in how this turns out. But I think what you have to do is you have to look at it legally and you have to break it down to its simplest term. Gambling usually implies some sort of odds. It's a game of chance. The problem I have with that is when you spend money on a loot box, you are guaranteed to get something. That is a capitalist transaction. You are spending money to receive a product. That's not gambling. Your odds are literally 1-to-1. It's like going to a store and going into a comic book store and buying a blind bag. You don't know what comics you're going to get in it. Might be something you want, might be something you don't want. But you spend your $1 and you get it. That's not gambling. Because you spend $1 for 3 comics. You're guaranteed to get 3 comics. You start regulating these things. Again, I have to go back to worst case scenario. The problem is when you start regulations is you open up a whole Pandora's box of what now can be regulated. Let's say, for example, that the United States somehow passes this, and yes, loot boxes are gambling. Well, now, again, what's to stop the blind bags in comic books? What's to stop you? Are you now able to go to an amusement park? What happens to carnival games? You've already paid money to go into an amusement park. Now you spend $5 to play the game where you shoot the squirt gun at the guy's mouth and make whatever go up so you can win a prize. Is that gambling at that point, or is it a game? These are, and these kinds of situations are what too many people don't think of when they start opening up a door to regulation. They don't think of, it's very tunnel vision. They look straight forward and see that. Well, it'll fix this problem. Okay, but what about these other things? What about the broad scope of what can happen with that? These are the things we miss too much. We need to take a wider look at these things and see the slopes, the roads. You know, once you pave one road, you make a chance to now pave others. So I don't think that these should be gambling in any way, shape, or form, because I think they're nothing more than a simple capitalist transaction. You pay money, you get a product. The product you know you're getting is something. You know you're getting something when you spend the money. It might not be what you want, it might not be what you needed. You know that going in. At some point, we have to take responsibility for our own actions. Regulations take away from that and also open up the other boxes that I talked about. So that's my take on it. Do what you will with it. I don't think it's gambling. I think it's not necessarily consumer friendly, but I don't think it should be regulated as gambling.
So what do you not agree with that I said?
I don't think odds need to be posted, that kind of thing.
So how is that different than, going to buying a Funko Pop grab bag where it says 1 out of 37 gets the special one, or trading cards.
What
so
about?
I guess we're.
I think that's up to the company to do that. I don't think it needs to be regulated. They don't do that for the blind boxes in comics.
I think they should, though, because if the odds are 1 out of 4 billion, you're not getting it.
That's true.
So at that point, it is deceptive. If there are no way for me to ever get this thing,
no. See, and that's where I disagree, because when you are, it's not deceptive, because you're getting something.
Well,
you're getting something.
See, the difference is if they show this comic that's worth $10,000, and they say you can get this out of a grab bag, but the odds are 1 out of 6 billion, you're not going to get it. You should know that those are the odds, because you're not going to get that thing. At that point, they're not going to sell 6 billion. They don't even have to put it in one.
I'm not sure. I still don't know that. I don't know that I agree with that.
So all I want is, let's say there's 5 different classes of items. Just show me what the odds of that I get something out of those classes are. I know I get something, but show me what the odds are, because if the odds are crazy, I'm going to make a more informed decision. If it's 1 out of 6 million are going to get a legendary item, I'm going to think before I buy that. Maybe I can make an informed decision. I know there's something in there. I know it could be that, but tell me what my odds are of getting it. Because if there's only one ever, I'm not going to expect to win that. Now, when you don't give me that, that's where I start to feel like it is gambling.
But here's the thing: doesn't common, rare, ultra rare, epic, legendary, doesn't that kind of inform you of the odds of what your chance probably is?
No, because I don't know what ultra rare means to the developer. Does that mean I'm never going to get one, or does that mean I only get one after I spend $45?
Maybe.
I don't know. That's where it gets a little sticky. Is what's the qualifier for me to get one? Can I spend money for one loot box and get the most rare thing in the game, or do you have it set where I have to spend so much money, where I have to open so many boxes, and then my odds go up or my odds go down after I get one? Like, I want to know how the machine works, so I can make an informed decision. If you don't want to call it odds, then call it something else. Yeah. But I want to see the process.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's odds. I wouldn't say, and I honestly don't think that what and I don't have a problem with companies wanting to put, with you wanting to put, odds of this winning this are this out of whatever. But I don't think that gives you the transparency that you're talking about right now.
I mean, it gives me the ability to understand when I can get that. I mean, I collected basketball cards when I was younger. Mm-hmm. When I bought a pack of cards, it says right on the back what my odds of getting the rare cards are. I can hold the pack. I know it's full of cards. Mm-hmm. But right on the back of the pack, it tells me what the odds of me getting something different are. That's not gambling for me. That's just me making an informed decision.
Perhaps I can see how. I guess my problem with it also, I don't have a problem with that. I'm not sure I want it to be regulated.
Well, I think if it's not regulated, no one will do it because there's no reason to. There's no benefit in someone telling me that I'm not going to get this thing.
I just think regulation can sometimes in some instances, bring forth more regulation.
But that regulation, and like you spoke to, think about it going wide, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with a comic store having to tell you how many bags have a rare comic in it. I'm fine with that. Okay. That way you can then make an informed decision. Like, I'm fine with that spreading out to everything it can spread out about, because all it is making us more informed. Loot boxes, I'm fine with loot boxes. I'm fine with season passes. But again, everything has to be done in a way that's consumer friendly for me. And, I don't like season passes that come out with content day one, because you could have included that in the game.
Right.
I don't like loot boxes that give you a leg up in any way. There are stipulations for me personally, right. But I think just being as transparent as possible, maybe even in the drop rate, maybe even in what I can get out of them. I hear people all the time like, man, I opened 15 boxes and didn't get anything. Uh-huh. Well, maybe that's because your odds are 1 out of 10,000. And had you known that, you would not have opened all 15 boxes.
Right.
So
I suppose, yeah.
Anything that can make people more informed without totally getting away from the ability for the company to make money. Because if I was more informed, I would still buy loot boxes, but I would probably be able to temper my expectations a little bit more.
Okay. I want to make it clear. I am not against regulation of all form. The net neutrality. I'm very much for the regulation. I made that clear. My problem is when we start throwing out regulations without taking into account long-term consequences and what else can be affected. I think that's what turning this into gambling does. I think you open up all of a sudden a door for a lot of things to be considered gambling that we haven't traditionally considered gambling. The blind bags, the carnival games, amusement park games. So I just want to make it clear. I realize to many it may have sounded like I was contradicting myself, and that's not the case. I do believe in regulation. I believe in informed regulation with a wide view of what that regulation can do. Not just all willy-nilly after a week of hearing a story about loot boxes.
And here's how dumb I am. If I went to the carnival and it said 1 out of 75 people win this game, I'd be like, I'm going to be that guy.
Right.
Like, it wouldn't deter me from spending money.
Well, I mean, and here's the thing. I don't know if down where you're at, you don't really have carnivals much. We have,
not in the fun way, right?
We have carnivals up here.
We have passing fairs that are bullshit.
Right, and that's what we have is the traveling carnivals. With the carnies and all that, and they have the games, and there's a particular game. It's a big plastic pool. It's got little plastic ducks floating in it with a number written on the bottom in a Sharpie. And right. You pay your fee or whatever to get in all day. And you can go to this game and pay your $1 and pick up a duck. You pick up the duck. And your number corresponds to something else.
Prize you win.
To the prize you win. That's essentially a loot box.
Right, but if you walked up and it said, "Hey, only 4 of these ducks even win a stuffed animal," you'd be like, "Meh."
No,
I'm not gonna play
all
that.
the ducks win something.
But you know what I'm saying? Only 4 of these win the thing you want, the big jumbo stuffed animal.
Right.
I just think. But I understand why they.
And here's the thing: they never have. It's never been a problem. But now, because something like that is in a video game, now it's a problem. That's my question. I guess my issue.
But I'm okay with the carnival having to say, X many ducks can win you this prize. X many ducks can win you that prize.
I think you're winning me over on that. I don't think I'm with you on that.
I don't think it's a regulation that takes the money out for the company, and I don't think it's a regulation that is that hard to. They have those odds. Mm-hmm. They could tell you Star Wars could tell you what the odds of getting a really good star card is. Yeah, because they control them.
Yeah,
and it just keeps them. Do they move those odds?
Do they change?
It keeps them a little more. Yeah, it keeps them a little more locked down on what those are.
We can go. I don't think we were going to talk about it this week, but that's what Destiny 2 developers got caught doing. That's what Bungie got caught doing.
Yeah,
they were throttling experience points.
The transparency of having to post, and again, I don't think the word odds is right, but your ability to unlock one of those things by opening a box, which is odds. I don't think anything is wrong with having to post that and be transparent, because that is the accountability on the company. Then that's the accountability on whoever's doing these boxes.
They've given you the necessary information to make an informed decision.
Right, because there's a trust factor with you in the business, and I think that's where EA is failing.
Yeah, I think I've come around. I think you've brought me around. I think I'm on your side on this now.
For everybody that's like, why is EA taking all the shit for it? It's because people already didn't trust them.
That's true.
There was no trust factor there. The same reason that Overwatch, it comes and goes. People are like, oh, it's gambling, but then it disappears.
Yeah.
Because people do trust them.
Yes.
They trust them way more than they trust EA.
But I do not... I'm on board with your odds list.
I hate to say odds, because odds and gambling go hand in hand.
Yeah, it's not odds. It's chance of
winning. But I don't know how else to say it. Yeah.
You're guaranteed to win. Your chance of winning what, I guess.
Right.
You're guaranteed to win something. Your chance of winning what? But I do not think it's gambling. I do not think it should be regulated as gambling. And I've already spoken as to why.
We got some deep topics.
Oof.
It's a lot to take in. I know.
I want to hear what you guys think about it. Feel free to let us know on Twitter. I'm curious what you guys think about it. And I don't know. I hope my opinion didn't. I know there's some people that have. I know people personally that have been real quick to jump on. Oh yeah, it's gambling. Fuck loot crates. I hate loot crates. Yeah, it's gambling. I don't feel like they've thought it through, and I know that those people probably would not be happy with my take on it. But and I know some people that were like, oh man, I thought I could trust you. I'm like, you can trust me to make an informed decision for everyone after taking a wide stance and taking a good look at everything. I'm not just going to jump off the cuff and make a statement.
Right. The beautiful thing about opinions is everybody's allowed to have one. Even if someone's is wrong or right or great or shitty, it doesn't matter. You're allowed to have one.
Right.
And we want to hear what yours is. Even if it's 7 letters. So a lot of deep talk there. And again, I know we covered a lot, but that's just our take on it. Hopefully we won't have to pivot back to these.
Yeah, we're just 2 guys that do a podcast.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, that's what it is. I do want to give a shout out to Jason Schreier from Kotaku. The article that I pulled for the show notes I send out about net neutrality was from him. You didn't read that. But I do want to give a shout out to him because that's kind of where I started my dig, and he gave what I thought was the most easy to understand breakdown of what
net neutrality is.
Yeah, and what the regulation would mean. So
he does throw his opinion in there a few times,
right?
And it'll be clearly evident.
You know how he stands on it, but that is where I started. And, of course, I read everywhere else, but I did want to give a shout-out to him. I think Jason Schreier does pretty good work.
Yeah.
I know that things have popped up about him. You feel however way you want about him, but I think he writes from a mostly neutral position. Obviously, you will not find a neutral position on a gaming website about net neutrality.
No.
So, do what you want with that, but I did want to give him a shout-out. So, moving on to some lighter topics. And, again, there was no news besides... all the stuff we just talked about.
Those were the
big
things in Black Friday sales.
But Hellblade from Ninja Theory is now a successful game. They have sold 500,000 copies and counting, and they have began to make money on this game.
Excellent,
they're profitable.
Good guy. Again, it's a game I got to get back into. It is a very good game. I really do need to get back into it, and I think you should too.
Yeah, I want to play it. It's so certainly so. Hats off to them for trying something different. They tried to make a AAA game that wasn't 15 hours long, that wasn't $60, and they succeeded in doing so.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting to see that. A lot of people said this is a bad idea. It cost too much money. It took too much time. I think they worked on it. A team of 20 worked on this for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So there was a large commitment in the company, but you see they still only needed to sell 500,000 copies.
Right. They didn't need to sell near as many as they would have if it was a AAA title.
And from everything I've read, the game is long enough. It's a total package. It does what it wants to do. So hats off to them. Aside from the sales figure, the studio also shared some other points of interest, which I thought was very transparent of them. Over 75,000 pre-orders across PC and PS4. They also noted that of the 500,000 sold, it's pretty much a dead even split between PS4 and PC.
Mm-hmm.
250,000 of those units were sold in the first week at that $29.99 price point. Over $13 million in revenue generated in just 3 months. 500,000 units sold in 3 months, which is their projected break even and into profit. And they expected it to take
6 months.
6 months. And some developers I even saw citing 9 months.
Yes.
So either way you look at it, at least half the time of what they expected. It took 3 years in the size of 20, team the size of 20. So that's a huge commitment.
Mm-hmm.
From a studio. We talked about it, especially with some of the games that are rolling out now, but you can't fail as a small independent studio. You can't. One fail and you're done.
Yep. You're over.
In most cases. So it was a huge gamble. And the game was also only sold digitally. There's no physical copy.
None available.
And they made it work. It just goes to show you that if you make a very good game, and you are transparent in the way that you market it, they said it's a half-price AAA game. So expect what you get for half the price.
Yeah.
And people got it and were pleasantly surprised, and hats off to them.
It's incredible. It is incredibly well done, though.
You know, like we talked about CD Projekt Red just being incredibly humble, and about we poured our hearts and souls into this, and we thank you for buying it. You know, it's the same kind of thing here with Ninja Theory. We wanted to try something different. We didn't know if it would work. Thank you for responding this way. And, you know, I didn't pull it here, but they go in to say, like, we're not sure what this means for the future. We're not sure that means we only make AAA games that are $30, that are 6 hours. But it was interesting to see if this would work, and it did. Yeah,
I think it's excellent that it was successful, because it opens up another avenue for developers.
Right. This next story might be something that interests you. Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, free demo out now for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Bethesda has released a free trial. Your save does carry over, and you can play the entire first level.
Might try it.
Yeah, give you an idea.
I really want to play these games. I am so afraid to actually play them. I don't know if that makes any sense. I really want to play these games. That story sounds incredible. I've heard amazing things about the story and the characters. I'm afraid I'm going to hate the gameplay itself.
Right. I don't think you will, but I don't know. Set that bitch on easy.
There we go. That's what I should do.
Just ride through it. Put the training wheels on. Our last story is not really a story, but Animal Crossing, the mobile Pocket Camp is finally out, and I love it.
I need to get it. You told me about that the other day, and I haven't gotten it yet.
I really like it. If you play mobile games, I really encourage you to get it. It is absolutely rotten in its push to have you purchase Leaf tickets. It is also a free mobile game. That is how they work.
Yeah.
Part of the problem with loot boxes that we didn't really touch on is that it's already a $60 game.
It's already paid
in most
for.
cases.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a free game. I have not spent any money on it. I will not spend any money on it. But I have probably already put 10 hours into it. I really like it. It is Animal Crossing.
Through and through.
Dumbed down for the phone in a pretty little Animal Crossing package that promotes having friends on there, and it's the kind of thing you can play for 5 minutes, and then put down for 2 hours, which is how I like my mobile. Only I've been just playing it nonstop for some reason. But that'll die down, and I'll get into that, checking it 5 times a day for 5 minutes. And but you should try it if you play mobile games. If you have any kind of history with Animal Crossing, you'll slide right into it. It teaches you as you go. It doesn't feel like a tutorial, but it is. And you kind of can hit the ground running after that. It's fun. It's free. Pocket Camp.
And that's our hard-hitting news for this week.
That was it. That is it.
A couple of big stories, a little bit of fluff. Not to be confused with the other
Speaking
fluff.
of fluffer.
Exactly. Not to be confused.
Speaking of fluffer, I streamed Rec Room for PSVR. Check that out over youtube.com/Gamestitch, or don't. But Rec Room is cool. If you have a VR, it's in beta. Download Rec Room. It's free right now. It's in beta, like I said.
And it's cool, you said?
It's really cool. There's something about it that's like just crude enough.
I saw.
In its design. And just almost like whimsical. In that it's kind of like being at like a over-the-top silly rec room.
Yeah.
Recreational room.
I saw.
With paintball and laser tag and dodgeball, and it is not perfect. It's one of those things that came out for I think Oculus, and immediately had a cult following, and it's easy to see why when you get in and play it. It has fucking charades where other people are standing around trying to guess what I was an eagle, and I'm flapping my wings. The guy's like, fly, 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 bird, bird. soaring. I'm like, this is kind of neat. I don't know that person. I'm never going to have a conversation with that person.
Right.
But it was kind of neat. There's probably also someone that's like, dick and balls, because people are people. So proceed with caution. You can turn that off, but you can hear all these people who are just in this live area with you. But paintball was incredible for me. I don't know why, but I loved paintball. And it uses the teleporting, and I teleported in paintball so much that it began to feel natural to me, and it took that weird feeling right out of it for me.
Well, that's good.
And it encourages me to think that games can do teleporting in a way that the gameplay is still fun, and it will remove, like, you won't even think about it. It's just like anything else.
Because that's been one of your biggest complaints, really.
Yeah, movement's the hard thing with VR, but I'm so excited about going to shoot somebody with a paintball gun that doesn't matter because you just start over, that I'm teleporting without even thinking. Like, it was just becoming second nature to me just to click where I wanted to go. And I wasn't disoriented when I popped in there. And there's something cool about popping behind somebody and then them turning around and going, whoa! Right when I shoot them in the face. That's kind of neat. Because they were actually startled because when they really turned around, I was really right there.
Right.
And that's an experience that you don't really get with a controller watching the TV. Because they're up in your face.
Right.
Like this. So I only played 3 of the games, and other than calibration and trying laser tag once, that I was brand new into that. That was a first look at me getting to play that game. And I'll give you the same statement about anything that's VR. It's very hard to watch because you don't feel like you're in the role, and also because the way my head moves makes sense to me but not to you.
It's true.
So it will appear like I'm having a seizure on a PS1 game when you go back and try to watch this, but I promise in VR it's a really fun experience. Rec Room. For free. Now it's time for my newest, oldest favorite segment. We reach back in our gaming past, we dust off a classic 40, we tell you about it, we hope that you watch videos on YouTube, or you go back and play it if you still have that system or can find that system. It's gone but not forgotten, and this week, it's your turn.
It is my turn. When Microsoft first developed the original Xbox, the big green monster Xbox, they had a tech demo of a fighting game. And it looked so well and people liked it so much that they decided to turn it into a full game and release it for the Xbox. And that game was Kakuto Shojin, Back Alley Brutal.
I like my back alley.
The problem is number one, it wasn't a very good game. It looked great, but it didn't play very well. And the reason why I like this as a gone but not forgotten is this was released in early 2003 by Dream Publishing, who, it's important to note, have never done anything else. This was all they did the tech demo.
Swan song.
They turned this into a game, and that was it. So it's got that going for it. We don't see very many of those. But secondly, it was released in the United States November 11th, 2002. Well, one of the characters in it, one of the main characters in it, was actually of an Islamic religion. And there were Islamic chants heard in the background that the developers just left in there because they thought no one would notice. The developers actually went to one of their cultural people on staff who are aware, who they go to the other, make sure nothing's going to offend any religions, make sure that they get their information right when they're dealing with other countries, people of other cultures, things like that. Well, this guy was offended. And they were like, no one will notice. They left that in. It was also important to note a year after the Twin Towers went down. So we were kind of, Islamic stuff was kind of not really a cool thing to do, background or not. Well, they picked up on it and immediately banned the game. So you got to play this game for about 3 months before it got banned. It's actually been banned in a number of countries across the world for that same reason. Good luck finding a copy of it. There's probably a few floating out there, but I gotta believe they're few and far between because it was not a good game and it didn't sell well, and then got banned. So they literally destroyed all the copies they had left. That's how banned it got. So that's Kakito Chojin, Back Alley Brutal, tech demo / game for the original Xbox.
Who made it?
Dream Publishing.
Dream Public. They sound so generic.
Yeah, it sounds like they put together tech demos.
Right. The Tommy Two-Tone of the gaming industry. They're one hit. It wasn't even a hit, though.
It wasn't a hit. It didn't do well.
So if people remember back to, and that's good gone but not forgotten, if you have one for us, send it in at game_stitch on Twitter. Little Big Planet had the same problem. Little Big Planet 2, I believe. Mm-hmm. It might have been the first one. I don't know. It was delayed, and basically it was delayed to remove a background track.
Yep.
That had some religious chanting in the background. It was just missed. It wasn't incorporated on purpose. It was in a track that was in the game, and it was removed for that. And I think it's Little Big Planet 2. But if you buy that and don't ever hook it to a console up to an internet, you can still hear it.
Right.
It won't make any sense to you, probably. But yeah.
But yeah, this was deliberate, and it was just like, no one will notice, and then it was. So yeah, that's this week's Gone But Not Forgotten.
Yeah, good one. Good deep pull. Deep pull.
It's deep, all right.
Yeah. That's not to be confused with Deep Blue Sea, which is a great movie starring LL Cool J
and Thomas Jane.
Yeah. You know what I want LL Cool J to do? I want him to go by his name.
Go by LL Cool J?
No, I want it to be like Chris Ludacris Bridges.
Oh.
Like when he's acting, because it's hard for me to take you serious.
And his name is something
like it's always like, not even anymore. It used to be like Dwayne The Rock Johnson, but now it's just Dwayne Johnson.
Right.
When he's acting.
Right.
Like I want that for those people because they do an incredible job. In most cases, acting. Like I think Ludacris is an awesome actor. I think The Rock is pretty good. He's not great, but I think he's pretty good. Yeah, and I think LL Cool J is a good actor.
I'm worried that I think The Rock's franchise starter or franchise saver thing is kind of going by the wayside now. I think he's losing some of that charm.
He just took too many. It happens.
Too many wins.
Yeah.
Too many wins.
But from his standpoint, he's just trying to fill up the bank account, and I'm down for that.
I get that, yeah. And he's trying
I'm all for people making money.
And if you ever know, his movies are just stupid fun. Mm-hmm. He's having stupid fun making stupid fun movies.
He's a stupid fun guy. Like, if you watch him on the internet, he seems like he's having the time of his life every day.
Yeah.
He also gets up at like 2:30 in the morning so he can whoop the gym's ass.
Yes.
Every day. It makes me feel like less of a human for how much he gets out of his day.
After he eats the buffet. Not at the buffet. He eats the buffet.
Right.
So what's next? What are you rolling us to?
So we should roll to shout-outs now. If you support us on Patreon, patreon.com/GameStitch, at the $10 tier, you get a shout-out. The thing with shout-outs is if you don't have one, we'll give one to you. Because you earned it. You paid for it.
That's right.
It's your right. And we don't want to skip a week. So this week we didn't get any shout-outs.
We didn't get any shout-outs this week. We had
two people subscribe at the tier, though.
We got some informational stuff from people who would normally give shout-outs, but we didn't actually get any shout-outs from them.
Right. So now we'll assign those shout-outs.
Go ahead.
Normally, I try to put some thought into this.
I got nothing either, though.
I've got a cold. I'm all up on cold medicine right now. Still a little groggy from last night's Theraflu. So I'll just do my best here. For Garrett, I'm gonna. He shared something personal with me this week. He knows what that is. I'm not going to share it here, obviously. But I thank you for that. And I'm going to keep it simple and just say that he still has faith in the Dolphins. He still hasn't given up on them. Okay. He's ride or die with the Dolphins, and I appreciate that.
He is ride or die with the Dolphins. I'll give you that.
I appreciate that about him.
As far as Thomas's shout out go,
I got to thank you for Thomas real quick before you do his shout out.
You have a thank you for Thomas?
Yes.
Okay.
I played Splatoon 2 with Thomas and his wife this week. We played more of the salmon run on Splatoon 2, and I had a blast, and we dominated. And I just want to say thank you for them for including me in that. It was a ton of fun, and I really enjoyed that also. We had just a good week for the community.
All right. Well, their shout out, Thomas's shout out is going to be, no, Ryan, thank you.
I'll take it. You're welcome.
And I'm so glad that you said something, Ryan, because I really wasn't sure what I was going to say for a shout out. But I know that Thomas was having some internet problems, so it's good to hear that maybe he's starting to get some of that straightened out. If he's able to get online with you, that's a good thing. Maybe some of that stuff's starting to get fixed, and we can see him back on some of our other stuff. So that's shout-outs.
Yeah. Remember, if you want to shout out, $10 tier over patreon.com/Gamestitch, and it gives you the right to shout out every week. And there are very few things that we wouldn't read on here, and you're probably smart enough to figure out what those things are.
Mm-hmm.
So we're basically giving you an open platform to talk. That brings us to the social medias. You can follow us on social media. I am at Podcast Ryan. Dan is at Shirtless Dan, and together we are at Game_Stitch. Pay attention to that, especially the at Game_Stitch, because it'll tell you every time we go live on a stream. And I can tell you I have at least one more stream coming for this month, if not two more. But I know that I have one more guaranteed this month. It'll happen. So watch our Twitter for that.
I think I'm going to get one or two in. I'm hoping to.
And also, subscribe, youtube.com/Gamestitch. Hit that notification bell, and you'll know every time we go live.
It's true.
And if I'm playing a VR game and it crashes, you'll know twice that I went live.
It's true.
I can prove it with my emails because 8 minutes in or 6 minutes in, it crashed on me. It's a beta, so it was not expected, but I understand. And started another one, and then I edited them together so that you guys only have to watch one video where I'm 6 minutes in confused about it crashing on me.
Ooh, sweet.
So keep your eyes peeled for that. And for everyone that doesn't get a shout out, thank you for being alive, for listening to this podcast, however you take it in, and for sticking with us for a really long time now.
Yes, we've been doing
like
this.
a really long time.
We've been doing this a while.
Yeah, and it means a lot.
We love you.
Still sick.
We love you. He's still sick.
Still on cough medicine.
That's why he's getting. Is that why you're getting all goopy?
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
I just feel goopy this morning.
You're getting super emotional.
I'm not. But yeah. I think about crying. That's what happens when you're on like sleep medicine, not just.
You get emotional and cry about everything. I get it.
Yeah, you take your pants off and walk out in the street. You're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
And crying. Don't forget crying.
Yeah,
got your pants
wearing
down.
Earmuffs, right?
You're doing the pants around your ankles shuffle, crying.
Yeah. You got earmuffs on. Nothing can be explained about what you're doing. You're dropping F-bombs, and then 4 hours later you're fine. You're like, I don't know. Took some sleep meds. I'm fine.
What happened to my pants?
Whose earmuffs are these? These aren't even mine. Whose earmuffs are these? This has been episode 243. By that I mean 254. I couldn't get the iPad unlocked quick enough.
I was gonna say it because I knew what it was, but I was like, no, I don't want to do that. He'll get it. 43. Oh, you so off.
I wasn't even close. Episode 254. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being square. I don't know what that means.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.